tomorrow. We can go through it some more. All right, so you have the specifics, you have the questionnaire stuff. The next thing I want to talk about is the visual. Now we'll get more into the visual next Friday when we meet, but remember this speech has the visual with it. All right, this is going to have a PowerPoint or something like that, a Google slide, however you want to do it. Your visual, and we'll talk more about what information to put on the visual in a week and a half, is going to have a minimum of 5 slides. All right, now remember, you're doing 5 to 6 minutes, so it might be more, okay? In between each slide, all right, you're going to want a blank slide. So you're going to have a slide with information on it that you're going to discuss, and then a completely blank slide. And then a new, why are we doing that? Because it shouldn't be all you reading, okay, the slides. You're going to talk about something that's on one slide, then you're going to go to a blank slide, because now you're talking to the audience. We don't need to see you, because remember I told you this one can be all PowerPoint, all visual, but so that you're not going from slide to slide to slide to slide when we're reading. All right, it'll help you to focus more, right? Because if you do have the slide up, it's very easy to start reading from that slide, and then it's not going to come out like a speech. It's going to come out like you're reading from slides. So put one slide, and when you're done talking about it, go to a blank one, okay? And then you're going to be talking to the audience about a point or whatever it is you're going to be talking. Then, as you can see in our next slide, you're going to pull another one up, X amount of percent, blah, blah, blah. You're going to put statistics, things like that. We'll talk about what goes on there in another week and a half. You will need 2 types of sources for this. All right, you're going to do one with statistics. Like I said, our class can be one of them. According to 76% of a class survey, this happened, that's a statistic. You also want that expert testimony, the quotes. All right, like the quotes from people that you're using, just like you did for your last speech, from your sources. All right, we will get more into that, like I said, in another week and a half, but just to start kind of getting it together as to what you want to do, coming up with that questionnaire, and starting to kind of format, how do I want to do this argument? How do I want to lay this out? If I'm going to talk about wanting marijuana legal, recreational, what are my reasons for that? All right, I'm going to have to do some research as to backing up those reasons, but what do you think, because you have a strong connection to it, whatever this topic is, what do you think those reasons should be? All right, so you want to start kind of formatting that at least. All right, and then you can kind of go from there when it comes to putting that questionnaire. How much do people know about it? What do they need to, what's their feelings about it? Things like that. All right, what do they think should be done? You could even ask them, because remember, this one's going to come with a solution or some kind of suggestion as to what should be done, right? Just like your argument is going to be based in, you're going to want to have a solution in the end. What do you think is a good, how can we do this? If we want to make it legal, should just, okay, everybody is a free for all? How should it, if it is legalized, how should it be controlled? How do we know that 18-year-olds aren't going to walk up to vending machines, or 16-year-olds and just buy it? Right? What's your solution to making this work right? Okay, because that's all part of convincing somebody. Because if you just say, hey, let's do it just to do it, well, okay, but how is it going to be done? And how do I know that my 11-year-old nephew doesn't get in it, right? So, what's your solution to it? So start thinking about that structure. All right, now you said, maybe you want to use your argument topic if you're in 102 right now, because you are kind of basing something on that kind of structure, depending on how far you are with it. Or maybe you want to pick a completely different topic. It's completely up to you. All right, so what kind of questions do I have? Because I know it's a lot of information I'm kind of putting at you there. Can I talk about bullying or cell phones? Well, I wouldn't talk about cell phones, because you want this to be something that's persuasive. Okay, so, but bullying, maybe, yeah, you could go with something like that, that something needs to be done, that it's a problem, that not enough is being done about it. All right, remember, you want this to be persuasive, not just say, hey, bullying's there. Well, yeah, but that's more informational than it is persuasive. So I have Outlook downloaded to my computer, but I can't make the form from it. Oh, let me log on. So it's through Google. Can you just go to google.com, like just regular Google, or log into your email, your Google email, because we all have Gmail accounts. And it's actually through the Gmail account. So to me, if you just go to Google and log into your email, your regular Gmail from school, you should have that up here, those little dots. You don't want to make it on like an Outlook. You don't want to make it on a Word doc. Okay. Laura, can I do mine based off zoo captivity? Yeah, you could do that, Laura. That would work out, that you feel that, yeah, that it's a wrong thing. The zoo captivity is wrong, that animals should be, out in the wild. That would work. And in that case, maybe you want to ask your question can have something to do with like, how many times have you gone to a zoo? What's your feelings about zoos? Things like that. And do we title the form? Yeah, so you want to title the form to me when that questionnaire, something has to do with your topic. Like now Laura might put zoo captivity or, legalizing marijuana, whatever, just some kind of a title that, lets everybody know what are you going to talk about once they open up those questions. Okay, what else? All right, does anybody have an idea of what they're good, besides people that put it in the chat? Does anybody have an idea?
I might do the legalization of marijuana and why it should be.
Okay, in the state. So make sure that you're focusing on the state of Pennsylvania because
Yeah.
other states already have it legalized. Good. Okay. Okay. What else? Lake, how about you? Because you come up with some good stuff.
I'm not quite too sure yet.
Okay. Are you doing 102 this semester?
Yeah.
What are you focusing on for that so far? Are you thinking?
For that class, I was doing something with like shark population.
Okay.
But for this specifically, I know that there's like a lot of stuff going on with like abortion laws right now. So
yeah, things are
I
starting.
was maybe thinking of something like that.
Okay. All right. Megan, yeah, that's perfect. Tanning bed age restriction. That's perfect. Yeah, that's a very controversial thing. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Okay, Patrick. We'll talk about it. Yeah, I'll talk to you in English about that. All right, because maybe we can work with something what you're doing. All right, what else? Phil G, how about you? Did not decide. Are you're taking 102, right, Phil G? So what's your topic for that argument? Okay. All right. Let me know what you decide on that one, like what the actual argument is. I'm doing ethical and social issues and cause. Okay, Destiny, you can focus on something like that, like, that it shouldn't be, that there should be some kind of age limit, or that it should be kind of, yeah, you could go with something like that, Destiny, if you're interested in that. You can make an argument out of that. Either do something with nursing burnout or just fun. Okay, yeah, that would be perfect, Brianna. You could do the nursing burnout because I know you're doing that in 102. So, try to make it as easy as possible. If you're really not interested in your topic from 102, that's one thing, but try to make it as easy as possible for yourself since you have some research, since you have good sources already, and see what you can build on that. Yep, that would work too. Like you can kind of say that it should be banned or shouldn't be done. That's fine. Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah. So, just, like I said, try to make it as easy as possible. You have a lot of sources on this. You have info on this already. Go with something that's going to kind of make it a little easier for you. So questions about any of this? All right. You have some dates. You have some stuff to kind of think about to start working with. You want to start gathering some sources if you haven't already, depending on the topic you're going to go with, and start working on those questionnaires. They will be due next Tuesday, not tomorrow, next Tuesday. And then your answers for them will be due next Friday, Tuesday by 11:59. So you have the whole entire day. It doesn't have to be by midnight. And then the same thing with the questionnaire answers. They'll be due by the end of Friday night. So you have like a good full 3 days to answer. Okay, and then we will meet again that Friday before you know, unless you haven't done already, but we'll meet that Friday. And we will talk about what's called Monroe's motivated sequence, which is how you want to structure the argument when you start giving that presentation. And we'll talk more about your visual, you know, and how you should kind of set that up. Yep, I will post reminders, definitely. I always kind of put those announcements up and let you know when stuff's due at the beginning of the week. Okay, social media, does it cause anxiety? Well, not does it, but Reva, but like you have to make a definite, it does or it doesn't, and stick to that one side. Okay, you can go with, if you feel it does, then you know that it does and something should be done about it. Okay, or vice versa. Okay, all right. All right, any other questions? I'm always here. If you get stuck, if you have a question, just email me. Like I said, throughout the weekend or whatever, I'm here throughout the week. All right, and I will see you all on Friday, April 9th. Okay, from here, after here. Okay, if you get stuck, like I said, there are instructions on there again. What I went through with you today is all on those modules to explain it to you how to post and whatnot. If you really get stuck, let me know and I can work you through it. Okay. All right. Have a good rest of the week. Have a nice Easter, and I will see you on the 9th.
Thank
You too.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.